subbed in Devo with about 7 minutes last night after Jalen, they picked up his fourth foul, and you guys went on a run. What kind of gave you the confidence to throw Devo in there at a pretty big point in the game?
Yeah, I think Scotty, he's just done a really good job in practice. He continues to get better every day. I think that, it's a really important thing for younger players is just to understand, regardless of the minutes, is that you get better on a daily basis. And, I've given a lot of thought with our four freshmen, and the biggest thing is how do you continue to get better every single day? And when you walk out of the gym as a younger player, to feel like you're getting better every day. And if those four guys don't feel that way, then we have failed them. And sometimes it might equate to minutes, and sometimes it might not equate to minutes. But Devo is an excellent defender. He's an excellent loose ball getter. And because of his ability to get to loose balls, his ability to rebound for his position, he's a very good pick and roll defender. Because he seems to figure out how not to get screened. I think that he's earned the right, Scotty, for us to feel, really comfortable putting him in the game.
Curtis.
Hey, Coach. On paper, Missouri looks like essentially the same team from last year, just a year older, but they're off to a really good start. What have you seen out of those guys, maybe a little bit different, that's led to that success this year?
Well, I think one, Curtis, you're talking about, everybody is a year older for sure. And then they had two players that were hurt most of the year, and 21 Tillman at the center spot, and then 13 Mark Smith at the small forward / off guard spot. So two really important pieces for Coach Martin. And they always play hard because that's what Coach Martin's teams do. They always make it really difficult offensively because they're a very good defensive team. Right now, they're from an offensive standpoint, they're scoring the ball at a higher rate in transition offense. They're a high volume free throw attempt team. They're an excellent offensive rebounding team. And so I think you put all that together along with the experience, because they, we're polar opposites. Missouri is returning 85% of their scoring from last year or whatever it is. We're returning, 5% of our offense from last year. So two completely different teams.
Bob.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Good, Bob. How are you?
Hey, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about
Bob,
Moody.
you still own part of the Packers? We still have not gotten any Packers package.
I am a shareholder, as in one share. I'm sorry I haven't been able to get that for you.
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it next week.
If you want to go online and buy stuff, you can do that.
I got a care package coming.
Okay, good deal. Moses, he's scored double figures every game. I mean, he obviously, he was an elite recruit, but has he surprised you? And just what have you thought about his consistency, whether it's, scoring, rebound, and whatever he's doing out there?
No, I think Moses has done a great job for us on both sides of the ball. He was really aggressive at Auburn to start the game. We loved how he came out, from a scoring standpoint early in that game. We obviously asked him to do a lot of different things. He's got to play the 2 for us some nights. He's got to play the 3 for us on most nights. When we play small ball, he moves to the 4 spot. So, he's done a great job, Bob, scoring the ball. He's done a great job rebounding the basketball. We knew he was a really good player, but still, you got to go out and do it in games. And look, he's a really confident player that's got an incredibly bright future ahead of him, and he's always working. I mean, that's what we love is you walk in the morning and he's in getting his shooting reps, and he does a great job in the training room with keeping his body ready to play and produce. And I mean, how many freshmen in their first game of conference play on the road play 38 plus minutes? Probably can't find many in the entire country in their first road conference game in a Power 5 that played 38 minutes. Probably not many at all in the entire country that do that.
And I have to look back. I can't remember who said this. Might have been Jalen, but you talked about how Moses, listens. I mean, I'm sure a lot of freshmen with his credentials come in and think they know everything. But Moses, he's confident, but he doesn't act like he knows it all, and he kind of respects his elders, I guess.
He's been great asking questions and watching film, and he'll come and get extra reps in skeleton offense if he's going to be asked to play a new position. So, I just think the word I use, Bob, is he's just really, really mature.
And then, do you have an update on Justin Smith, his availability, or how he's looking for Mizzou?
No, I mean, he's sore. He's there's nothing that's long term, meaning there's nothing to my knowledge as of today that's broken or anything like that. But he's really swollen and really sore, and I'd probably not worth speculating one way or the other. Because we're under 24 hours from when the injury, but it's a deep bone bruise.
So it'd be accurate to say he's questionable. Would that be accurate?
That's accurate. Yep.
And if he can't play, how does that impact you guys?
Should we get Coach Martin on the call and we'll just tell him our game plan? No, he's a great player for us, as we all know. Because he's a great defender and a great rebounder, and has had some big scoring nights. I thought in transition last night, Justin was great, but he only played 11 minutes last night, and we kind of had rotations that we hadn't used before and had players in different positions than they have all year. And, it's next man up, whether it's a coach out, whether it's a player out. I'm not really sure what we would do, who would start. But when we hit the practice floor here in a few minutes, and 20 minutes and 24 seconds, we'll put some different guys out there and continue to evaluate what the best matchups for us would be as well.
I had a couple more, but I'll turn back to Mike.
Hutch.
Yeah, Coach, if Justin isn't able to go, do you feel more confident this year that y'all can sustain an injury like that, more so than like what we saw last year when Isaiah went down?
Well, Hutch, we really couldn't sustain anything when we had an injury last year. It was kind of like, all right, let's just go play and see what happens. Our guys played so hard, and we lost so many close games, but when you're undermanned, you're undermanned. We're not, right now, if we have a starter to go down, whether it was last night in the middle of the game or whatever, every team in the country, when you lose one of your top players, your best athlete, most experienced player, has played in the biggest games like that. We're playing a ranked team in the top 15 on CBS national television. This is a big game. You certainly want to try to have everybody available, but if you don't, you play with what you got.
And what would you say are maybe some of the keys and focal points for Saturday's game against Missouri?
Got to have great from a defensive standpoint. We got to have great transition defense. We got to locate number one Pinson when he's got the basketball in transition. We got to get to Mark Smith at the 3-point line. We can't let Tillman get deep post position. We can't give him an angle to score inside, meaning Tillman. Drew Smith is a catalyst for him both defensively and offensively. So I think off the top of my head, a guy like Brown and Smith, number 5 at the power forward spot, they both can pick and pop. They're both offensive rebounding threats. We've got a defensive rebound for sure in this game as well.
Tom.
Hey, Eric, you were in the air last night when the Missouri Tennessee game was going on. I'm sure you've seen it. What were your impressions? What did Tennessee do to kind of muffle them there?
Yeah, Tennessee really, you're talking about 2 ranked teams, 2 teams inside the top 15. I don't put too much emphasis, in one game against one team, because there's always matchups that can affect basketball games. And, I know that Missouri is a really, really good team. I know they're really, really well coached. I know they're tough-minded. They believe in their coach, and they're really experienced. So it makes them really dangerous. And I guess with the Tennessee thing, Tom, I wasn't really focused right now on Tennessee. I mean, obviously it helps when you can watch a game and those are your next two opponents, because you can really dive into it. But right now, the only concern that I have and the staff has really is just how do we, get ready for Missouri, and then what offensive sets are we going to try to run against them, and what's our defensive pick and roll coverage going to be? What's our post defensive coverage going to be against Mizzou? Those are the things that I think I'm, most concerned with right now.
Kevin.
You guys were in a tie game last night with about 7.5 minutes left. You had a 10-0 run where you really defensively got some turnovers, held them to 0 of 2 shooting. You guys took 1-3, and the rest of it was get to the basket, putbacks, free throw line. In a game that was up and down up until that point, did you really see this from your group? Because Tate was on the bench in foul trouble, and Smith wasn't on the floor either.
Yeah, Kevin, I think, it was important, especially with JD Notae, because I think right around that time of that 10-0 run, JD took an absurd shot from three-point land that was, about at the logo. And I didn't really have to say anything. His teammates, told him, like, come on, are you for real? Like, on that shot, really? And at that point, I just kind of interjected that, hey, let's take this thing to the cup. Just because Auburn's shooting threes and converting at a high rate, let's get to the free throw line. Let's try to stay in the bonus. Let's put pressure on the rim. And then I thought JD got some quick looks in transition going to the basket. And then I thought, as we kind of milked the shot clock down the stretch, we got some really, really quality looks. Desi got fouled at the end of a shot clock. JD got fouled at the end of the shot clock, I think. Connor got a dunk at the end of a shot clock. So I thought our clock management with the guys on the floor was really, really good, Kevin, that last maybe 7 or 8 minutes of the game.
You left out Desi get an offensive rebound on his back as the shot clock was running down. Quick question about Connor Vanover. He had struggled the 2 previous games, didn't have any blocks in those games. His rebounds were a little bit down. What did you take away last night from his impact at both ends?
Well, I thought, first of all, Kevin, that Connor was great in pick and rolls. I thought there was 2 pick and roll coverages where he basically, it almost could have been a charge. Like, he slid his feet, he got in front of the ball, he walled the ball up. He didn't give the ball handler an angle. He did it twice. We watched it on the airplane back, and then obviously around the rim, even if he doesn't come up with a block shot, he alters shots. I thought it was probably Connor's best all-around game, and he only went 1 of 6 from 3, but he still did a really, really good job in both offensively and defensively. He's a great ball mover for us offensively, and certainly a game coming up with Tillman, number 21, inside, a big body. It's going to be really important that Connor gives us a great defensive lift Saturday morning.
Thanks.
Hey,
Well, Coach Kevin actually kind of just got mine. It was really about Connor going 1 from 6 from downtown. Just, I know he said he was frustrated by that, but still his confidence being 7-3, and on the broadcast, it's all he could talk about was a 7-3 guy pulling up shooting threes all night. Just his confidence still to shoot from long range, and your confidence in him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hayden, we always want our guys to play with confidence, and Connor, behind closed doors when you guys aren't around, Connor knocks that shot down with great frequency, and so therefore he's got the liberty to shoot the shot. And there's just so much that goes on in practice, and between our walls that the general public obviously doesn't get to see, or maybe the media doesn't get to see, and that's where roles are formed. That's where guys' minutes and rotations and all that stuff happens and is earned through practice.
Kyle. Hey, Coach, you're often so quick to move on to the next opponent after a game, but we saw the locker room celebration, the selfie on the plane. Safe to say you let these guys enjoy this one a little bit more? I mean, it was that big of a win for you?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Kyle, it was a really big game for us. We all have a social media device on our phone. Everybody knows that people were saying that we didn't have a good enough schedule or whatever. And we talked about it before the game that, that we had two ranked teams. And really, this 3-game segment that we're in right now, we thought that it was as hard as any 3-game segment that we would have the entire year. When you talk about going to play at Auburn, a team that has hardly lost at all in the last 2 years in that building. And then no one knew how good Missouri was going to be. We knew how good they would be based on their coaching staff and then how many returners they had. And then obviously Tennessee's been well thought of, even in all the preseason stuff. So this is as difficult a stretch, and winning that game last night, obviously helps now that this 3-game segment is now down to a 2-game segment. Because you lose that game last night and you play 2 ranked teams, that's a hard thing to get your team ready, to play those 2 games. And so, yeah, I thought it was maybe as big a must win as we've had since I've been here.
Bob?
Yeah, Eric, you alluded to the depth a little earlier, but I think Desi was the 6th different guy to lead you in scoring. I mean, last year that was almost always Mason or Isaiah. What do you think about? And I think you played 10 guys in the first half. That would have been unheard of last year too. I don't think you had 9 scholarship players on the whole team. Just what do you think about your depth at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think the depth has helped us. I think that's why we're 9-0 right now is the depth and the chemistry. Obviously when you have a deep team, chemistry, locker room stuff is really, really important. But I mean, like when you have a guy get hurt, you hope that the depth can help you survive a game last night. Like I said, I mean, we played 30 minutes without Justin and different guys stepped up. And, I mean, even Ethan, he went in for 2 minutes or whatever. And I thought he contributed to us. And everyone's talked about Devo and his defense last night. And so I think, we had a lot of guys step up, and Desi was phenomenal from a scoring standpoint, and Tate continues to take, the other team's best player and do a great job on him like he did last night with Powell. So the depth is obviously one of our strong, points.
And then, Missouri, they beat Oregon, they beat Illinois, they won at Wichita, but they got, hammered last night, like Tom said. But you sort of don't put too much stock in that game last night because Tennessee's so good and so veteran. And what do you think Missouri's attitude will be coming in here after getting beat at home by 20?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Missouri, like I said, I mean, they're ranked top 15, and they're really, really experienced. They're really well coached. I mean, I've known Coach Martin for a long time. I coached against him when he was a player. He is a tough, competitive dude. And his teams take on the personality of him. And so they're going to come in here and they're going to be ready to play, as is anybody should be ready to play. I mean, we should be ready because we're playing against a ranked team. We're on CBS national TV. I think both teams will be ready to play. That doesn't mean you're going to play good or shots are going to fall, but I think from a mental standpoint, Missouri will be ready, and so will Arkansas.
And you've alluded to CBS. I remember Mike had this in the release, but I can't remember. I think it's been several years since Arkansas played on CBS. I know, technically you can get all these games around the country, but to have sort of the CBS spotlight, that's still, different than the SEC network. All due respect to them. I mean, how big is it for you guys to be on CBS for, I think it's the first time in 5 or 6 years for Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's great for families and, you know, people that might not get other networks, but I mean, the floor is still going to be the same length and the rims but I mean, it's different, you know, when you drive by Bud Walton right now, there's a lot of trucks out there and you know, even 2 days before the game, I mean, I just went to lunch with the staff and one of the younger staff members said, "What are all those trucks?" And I said, "Yeah, that's what happens when you're on CBS national TV. That the ramp looks a little bit different than on a normal game."
It's got one more. I read this on Twitter, so I know it has to be true that 9-0 is the best start for Arkansas since 93-94. You know, obviously the national championship year. What do you think when you hear that?
I'm dead silent.
That's impossible.
I'm just worried, Bob. How do we play well against Missouri? Because even when you play well against this team, it's going to be hard to win the game. And so we have to play our A game, you know, to be in the game against a team that's ranked in the top 15.
Okay, I got one more, but I'll turn it back over to Mike in case somebody else has some.
Well, Bobby just has to go to practice. The clock winding down here.
Okay, well, there guys from
Bob, ask it real quick. I'll go one more.
Okay,
just you're such a great man.
I appreciate that. Guys from the state of Arkansas scored 50 points for you last night, and Auburn actually had guys from Arkansas scored 21. Just what do you think that says about high school ball or players from Arkansas?
Yeah, no, I think you know, obviously the state has produced, not just this year. I mean, you look back at all the great players from this state, and you know, I mean, that's one of the reasons his job is so attractive. Is you know, because it's got great high school coaches and because it's got you know, great talent, you know, every year, and so that's why you've got to recruit the state and develop relationships and. You're not going to get every player out of the state. Just, you know, look at the history and, you know, some players fit your system. Some don't, but the state's proven to have great talent.